you always focus a lot on getting down to the level of the patient and making them understand.
I don't want to push them towards treatment. I want them to understand that orthodontic treatment is dedication. People are generally more body dysmorphic than we choose to believe.
Teenagers hear braces and they immediately want them.
What we choose to do at our clinic is Invisalign because it is the oldest and most trusted brand. Maybe in 10 years or 5 years, there are multiple other brands that we can allow our patient to choose from. It's for the patients to think that this is not a salon service. It's not like someone came and did your waxing at home. Someone came home, did your scan for you and moved your teeth.
Hello everyone, welcome to Confessions of a Dentist, episode 3. Today we have Dr. Manjeet. Not only is she a very fine orthodontist, but she's also a boss lady running multiple businesses and juggling motherhood at the same time. So welcome Dr. Manjeet. Welcome to Confessions of a Dentist, where we will be talking about braces, aligners, all the myth busting and whatever you have to offer to our viewers.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ishita, for having me here. Also, this is my first podcast, so I may make many errors at many places, but you make it sound easy, you make it sound glamorous. It's not all glamorous, and you yourself are a big boss lady, so
Not at all. Not at all. But I have really appreciated always the way you have worked, like especially with our patients. You always focus a lot on getting down to the level of the patient and making them understand, which I feel that not a lot of dentists or doctors really invest time in it. So, what is your thought?
No, I think that's the most important thing when we do a consult. It's not about conversion of the patient. It's not about let's get them to quickly agree to treatment. For me, it's the most important aspect of it is to actually explain to them what issue they have and what a realistic result would be. We live in a world where everyone wants everything perfect.
Yes.
And for me, it's very important to explain to somebody what a realistic result functionally is. And then, of course, aesthetics is always a motive behind a beautiful smile. We want the patients to feel as happy as we feel with their function. So we do work on aesthetics, but that is the reason why my initial consults last really, really long.
Yes. I've seen
Sometimes I
that,
feel
yes.
the patients are bothered by me because I don't stop talking. But it is my intent is to basically get them to understand what we are
Yes.
looking at. I don't want to push them towards treatment. I want them to understand that orthodontic treatment is dedication.
Yes.
It is not a quick fix. It means that they would be required to come in multiple times. It would mean that they have to wear their aligners or look after their braces in a particular manner. And I want them to be ready when they say that, okay, I want to go ahead with this. I don't want them to feel that we pushed them into something or they didn't really feel the need for treatment and the doctors there just told you need it and they did it.
Yes.
So that's the reason why I want to make them understand what we are focusing on. So many times the patients actually come with one tooth
Yes.
and we see 400 things in their mouth. While I don't want them to get scared or feel that we are over treating, I want them to I want to show them what we are exactly doing. That's why intraoral scanners, 3D equipment really helps because we can show them exactly where their bite is off, what occlusal contacts they have, what is not going right in their mouth.
Yes.
So then they understand so much more that what's visibly visible is secondary sometimes and function is of prime importance.
And I've also noticed that you always tell them that, okay, this is what is possible, and you don't overpromise the patients, because I also feel that, firstly, some people, unfortunately, in our profession want to, convert patients. That they don't tell that what is going to work, whether it is, firstly, it starts with whether it's required or not, because we also get referred patients in which they say that, the doctors told me to get braces. They've come for a second opinion, and sometimes it's not required. Secondly, if it's required, how much can it be fixed? Also, I do notice that, like for our other patients, not only orthodontic patients, we also focus on risk to benefit analysis, which is what you also do. You outrightly tell the patient that, no, this is something we are trying too hard and we'll achieve too little. So I really appreciate that there is a lot of honesty in your like in your the way you speak to the patient, because your relationship with the patient also goes for more than like 1.5 2 years, and that is like, that's not ki hum filling kar dete and then we are good sorted for 5 7 years. But with you have to multiple times see the patient over a period of few weeks only. So I just feel that that honesty and trust that you build by just talking to the patient is really like good.
I think that that's very important because, firstly, there are multiple factors to this. One of the factors is that, of course, what you mentioned, there's overconversion going on. There is a lot of the second factor I feel is that people are generally more body dysmorphic than we choose to believe. Third, there is this perception of this perfect world where people come to us with an image and say that this is the kind of teeth I want. I always try to tell our patients this, that your mouth is a biologic environment. Everything that you can see in a picture or on a digital medium doesn't mean that we will be able to express exactly that in your mouth. And also for patients who we see something is in balance but may need correction, I would like to tell them that, it takes this when we are correcting. It's going to take 3 4 years and we may not still manage correcting it, especially with molar movements, or let's say it's a canine which is not impacted in the manner that we would like it to be. And it's not a very predictable treatment. Like, we have predictability in our treatment outcome. So when something is not very predictable, then I wish to tell the patient that, it is going to take time. I don't want to give you a guarantee because this is long treatment. I don't want them to feel unhappy at 6 months that, see, you told me to start treatment and look where we are at.
Yeah.
We've not reached that point. Or, oh God, does this mean I need more treatment? Does this mean that this hasn't got corrected? Or even when the patient gets frustrated after 1.5 years, that shouldn't this have been corrected by now? So at that point, that's the reason why I feel that we must tell the patient that, see, this is predictable. I can guarantee this movement, but I can't guarantee this movement, and this is going to take some time. So that's where we get realistic treatment goals into the picture.
Yeah, right. So it's over promising and under delivering should not be done, and under promising and over delivering is what
What
should
we
aim
should do,
for.
yes.
Teenagers hear braces and they immediately want them. I see teenagers coming who don't require braces also, that, it's like a fashion statement. Whereas when we hear adults and when we talk about braces, they're like, no, we are not going to get braces at this age. So there are different types of braces that are available, and not a lot of people know. Neither parents nor children, obviously, and nor adults. They don't know about braces and the types of braces that are there. So would you like to talk a little about the kinds of braces that we have?
Yes, 100%. Firstly, I would like to tell everyone to get your orthodontic treatment only by an orthodontist. I feel that that is very important. You should know that there is a specialty. It's called orthodontics and dentofacial orthopedics, which deals with the growth of your bones and the position of your teeth. There are multiple types of braces that are available in the market today. The two broad categories of braces are fixed and removable. So fixed by what the name suggests, they are fixed onto your teeth. There's nothing much that you can do about them. They are there, and you do have to come in for monthly checkups. You have to keep them very clean, and they do have some eating and drinking restrictions to them. Of course, since they are fixed onto your teeth, you can have an emergency here or there where a bracket is broken, something comes off. For that, you do need to come in again. What's the benefit of fixed braces? There is limited compliance by the patient. By limited compliance, I mean that they don't have, they can't choose to remove their braces. They have them fixed. They have to be compliant with their eating. They cannot eat extremely hard or sticky things like peanuts, makhana, dry fruits, things like that. Of course, we change the form. We ask the patients to just change the form of what they're eating. If they like peanuts, the flavor in their food, they can chop them up and put them. If they like dry fruits, they can churn them in their milkshake or chop them up finely, soak them and have them. Basically, don't have them in their raw form because they're very hard. The brackets are not stuck with permanent glue, so they can break. That's the reason why we ask them not to eat hard and sticky food. When it comes to removable braces, they are removable. So the choice to wear and remove is with the patient, and that's where compliance comes in. You have to treat it like a fixed brace. The benefits of removal are to eat or drink whatever you want, socially very acceptable. Let's say you have a social commitment where there is 2-3 hours of eating and drinking. You can remove your braces during that period. There's a speech or a lecture that you're giving. You can not have your braces on for that time. And generally, if you're a very conscious individual, they are practically transparent. So it's not visible at a social distance at all.
Okay.
So coming to fixed braces has two categories. One is on the outside and one is on the inside. So the braces on the outside can be metal or ceramic. The only difference between metal and ceramic is their visibility. There is no difference in the treatment time, in the mechanics. A lot of times the patients think that, this is more expensive, maybe it's better. It's not. It just is made out of a different material. So your treatment results, your treatment time, everything remains the same. The look of it is different. Metal are visible, ceramic are less visible. Braces on the inside are called lingual braces. Usually we do them for adults because it is something which is harder to clean. Children aren't able to clean very well. You have to look after them a little more, and you have to take care of what you eat and drink. So we do put braces on the inside for patients who are sure that, wearing and removing is not their thing. They are not going to be compliant. They're going to leave them on their sink in the morning and not wear them for a couple of hours. So then we suggest that then you get fixed braces, which are not visible from the outside. Then we put braces on the inside. But that's mostly for adults. Then we come to removable braces. In the removable braces, they are basically called aligners. Everyone knows about aligners. The awareness is pretty high. There are multiple companies of aligners today. Some old, some new, some Indian. What we choose to do at our clinic is Invisalign because it is the oldest and most trusted brand.
Gold standard.
Gold
for
standard.
aligners, yes.
And also we have achieved very good results.
Yes.
Their R&D has been in place. It's been about 27, 28 years since they've been around. We get the results that we want in a patient.
Yeah.
Maybe in 10 years or 5 years, there are multiple other brands that we can allow our patient to choose from.
Yes.
But at this point, we are only doing Invisalign at the clinic.
Yeah.
So removable aligners are easy to clean, easy to wear. You can eat, drink whatever you want. None of your friends are going to know that you have braces.
Yes.
It's also a fad for a lot of kids. They know about Invisalign, so they want Invisalign. But you need to know that if you don't wear them, they don't work.
Yes. I remember when I was in school, the colored brackets were a thing.
Yeah.
So I had braces for I think 2 years, and I every time used to go and get like blue done. So I think those were the elastics that they basically changed. But nowadays I feel that because of social media, so many kids are so conscious about like I don't
Extremely
think
conscious.
colored brackets are still a thing, right? Or is it?
Maybe just very few. Like maybe 2% of patients have asked for colored brackets. One of the children, there was an India match that day, and he wanted tricolor elastics on his teeth. So yeah, a couple of kids do ask, but the trend has completely shifted.
From when
Like,
we were
when
in
we
school,
were kids, yeah.
we would have wanted
I
like
had metal braces.
Yeah.
And it was, oh, you got braces. Everyone was excited about
Yes,
it. Everyone wanted them. People who didn't need them wanted them.
Yes.
But now it's all about visibility. Nobody wants anything to be visible.
So you mean the kids are wanting aligners? The school kids are wanting
School
aligners.
kids are, and you'll be shocked that the youngest of them would come in and say, "Why can't I get Invisalign?" So they already know that there is something like Invisalign. and they can get it.
Yeah.
And also Invisalign has multiple innovations for younger kids.
Yes.
We have the
We
palatal
will,
expander now, which we are
yes.
doing for very, very young patients.
Yes.
We have Invisalign First, which targets 6 to 10.
Yes.
So it's for all age groups,
Yes.
provided your kid wears it.
Yes. So you think compliance is an issue if like because I also see parents coming in with their children and the parents are saying that our kid wants aligners and can you do them and the child is only saying that I want these aligners and this is my problem and they come to you, but do you think that they just know that there is Invisalign and they just get it done and then they don't wear it, or you feel that this generation is also compliant with it?
No, so it is an individually based thing.
Okay.
There are some kids who are absolutely not compliant. I hate to say it, but teenage girls are the worst.
Okay.
Okay, they just don't wear their aligners. Strangely, the boys are more compliant in teenage years. But I've noticed that the younger age group is extremely compliant.
Okay, you mean 6 to 10?
6 to 10, strangely.
Oh, wow.
You give them a palatal expander. I was sure of this one patient who's not going to wear his palatal expander. He doesn't remove it.
Oh, wow, that's
And
great. Yeah.
younger kids are super compliant. It's the teenagers that
Yeah.
give some
Yeah.
trouble.
Yeah.
And girls in the age group of, I think, 16 to 20, they're
Yeah.
not compliant.
Not compliant. And I also have seen that in terms of like after once the liners are done during the retainer phase, because retention is very, very important, whether we do fixed braces or we do removable braces, and you always tell in the first appointment only that your treatment is say going to last for a year and a half, but after that for 6 months you will be on retention phase, which is very important. And I don't know why there's not so much focus.
Emphasis.
That because
But I learned this the hard way, Dr. Ishita. I have had patients in my initial stages of my career tell me that had you told us about retainers, we probably wouldn't have gone ahead with treatment. So it's not something that I always did. It's something that I incorporated after that. That first appointment, we have to tell them how important retention is. Like in college or in when we are studying or wherever we give exams and take exams, we think that this is such an understood thing.
Yeah.
That you got treatment to retention to hoga hi.
Yeah.
But it's not understood.
Yeah, because when I got braces done, and I was like, my father was a dentist, and I came and my treatment lasted, and then I was like, oh, retainers now another 6 months of wearing.
Yeah.
But I still wore them because I realized like probably my father would have made me realize that it was important. But I have seen so many relapse cases कि हम तो थक गए थे पहन के aligners या
Or
braces.
even that nobody told them how important it was.
Yeah.
So they
We
never
just,
went
like,
back to their
left it.
dentist.
Yeah.
One day it stopped fitting, we never checked.
Yes.
It broke, we never went back.
Yes.
And then they are like 25, 26 and they're like, we have to get orthodontic treatment all over
yeah,
again.
Yeah, some patients remember come and they're like, oh, this is the third time that
I'm
we are
getting
getting
treatment,
braces.
yeah.
And we're like, really? Like, what happened? No, I didn't wear the retainers. So
they know what went wrong.
Yeah.
And retention, see, fatigue sets in. There is no doubt that orthodontic treatment is long and fatigue sets in. But retention is very important. Now, it's very easy to give patients removable retainers, which after 6 months, you rely on a retainer way lesser. Nighttime wear is easy to do. And after a year of nighttime wear, we advise just 2-3 nights in the week, alternate nights. So patients are easily wearing that. The compliance has become lesser. What used to happen earlier was most of us relied on those, those acrylic retainers. They were really not nice.
Yes.
And half the patients just stopped using them, went to boarding school, went to college, stopped using them. Or they had fixed retainers on the inside. Again, maintenance was probably not explained to them or they didn't realize. So if it broke, they would know only when the tooth has moved. So, emphasis on a retainer is a must. Yes.
So also I keep hearing this question that हमारी तो extractions ही नहीं हुई थी, so is retention really important for us also? Because sometimes it's not. Also there's a myth that when you get braces you have to get extractions. ऐसा नहीं है. You either get, or like there's a non-extraction case and an extraction case. But people who don't get extractions ask that is retention important for them too. So what do you want to say about that?
Retention is important for all orthodontic cases. It's not that you were a non-extraction case, so retention is not as important for you. If we finish the case well, ideally, retention should be a similar protocol for extraction and a non-extraction case. We emphasize on retention because we don't want at any point that the extraction space actually opens out. But having said that, it doesn't mean that if the patient didn't have extraction, their teeth that we've corrected to the new position can't move. The mouth itself is a biologic environment where there is movement through life. That's the reason why you need retention. Because you have multiple things happening in your mouth at all times.
Yeah.
Third molars are coming out, aging is happening, gums are receding, deposits are occurring, bite changes over a period of time. Some people have grinding, not grinding. Everything makes the dynamic environment even more dynamic. So you need retention if you want to preserve your orthodontic results.
So irrespective of what a extraction case or a non-extraction case, you do require
Retention, yes.
And also, you know, with you spoke about Invisalign, and I believe gold standard Invisalign, but now because of the internet, people know about aligners, they know about Invisalign, but they also, the market also knows about them, so they try to reach out to people who just, if they type aligners, then you know they'll start probably getting ads, and then they'll be like, oh, convenience based, like there are home aligners, people come for scans at home, there are aligners which are more Indian. So what is your take on that? Because
Favorite topic.
yes, because
Favorite
people are like,
favorite
"हाँ,
topic.
हम घर पे करवा लेंगे, हम ये कर लेंगे." So what is that?
See, life is always going to be consumer based. Whatever is easier, people are going to offer you a solution. It's for the patients to think that this is not a salon service. It's not like someone came and did your waxing at home.
Yeah.
Someone came home, did your scan for you, and moved your teeth.
Yes.
Are you really comfortable with that sort of an approach where no doctor is involved? There is nobody who came to actually look at what's happening to your gums. We have so many cases that are actually worse off from where they started because they opted for home aligners. At that point, it seemed like a cheaper, easier option to do.
Yeah.
But when you get retreatment, you realize that eventually it cost you so much more
Yeah.
and so much more time because we had to fix something that wasn't even there in the first place.
Correct. So there's cost. And, you know, I also feel that patients feel that cost is just financial, you know. And I also, not only for ortho work, I also tell my patients that, you know, there is a cost, there's something called as a biological cost to your teeth. So if you're getting more treatment on your natural teeth, that means you're paying the biological cost for your
Exactly.
teeth. So I think with
Exactly.
these aligners or the other, there are so many now, honestly, to choose from as a consumer. But
There'll always be an easier option out.
yeah.
You as a patient, as an individual, need to know what's best for yourself and your child.
Yes.
You cannot think someone will come at home, do a scan for you, give you aligners, and it's going to be okay. A lot of these companies claim, so what if it's not going as per plan? We'll give you X number of more aligners.
Yeah.
That's biologic cost.
Yeah. But who's looking into them?
You
Who's
keep
looking at the
wearing them
movement? Yes.
unlimitedly.
Yes.
You keep getting more aligners. You keep ruining them further.
Yes.
And you're at a point where the situation is so hard to fix.
Yes.
Then we'll tell you that this is fixable only to this point, and then you'll be like, देखो orthodontist ने तो बोला इतना ही fix हो सकता है.
Yeah, yeah. And I also think that Invisalign initially was very, like, as a dentist, was very that no, Invisalign was only for orthodontists. Now Invisalign has opened up for general dentists also to practice. But at least with them, they have an orthodontist on the panel who is monitoring all the movements and all the planning for that. So yes, complex cases are still not given to a general dentist. But yes, mild to moderate cases are now open from Invisalign for a dentist like me or for any other dentist who's a general dentist, who's not an orthodontist. But at least it's secure enough for a dentist and for the patient that there is someone who's backing treatment. There's someone who's knowing what is happening. If there is a problem which is happening inside the mouth, there is a proper, full-fledged, secure company who's going to handle if there is an issue which is happening, right?
Yeah, it also, see, Invisalign was open to general dentists in the US all along. In India, it was launched for orthodontists only, and then it was given out to the general dentist.
Yes.
Now, it depends on the understanding of the general dentist as well. that how much of a movement are they doing,
Yes.
and how much of it is predictable.
Yes.
It would always be better that the complex cases are not treated by general dentists
course.
because they've not studied the mechanics behind it.
Yeah.
But simple cases, why not?
Yeah. And the Invisalign also like trains dentists.
Yeah,
They don't
yeah.
generally like give out cases. They're like, you have to finish all your modules. There's a proper training. So I feel that there is some kind of authenticity to what they are providing, not only to the patient, but if they are even okay that the dentist who's providing that is trained enough to give that,
perform
to
the
give
treatment.
that. So
Correct.
I just feel that because of that, there's a lot of authenticity. And Invisalign also has like a lot of other treatments, like you said that teenagers phase 1 ortho. So phase 1 ortho is something that I would want to focus on.
Basically, what is phase 1 ortho? There are two different things. Invisalign first is a different thing. Phase 1 orthodontics is a different thing.
Okay.
So, when we're talking about phase 1 orthodontics, what it actually means is when the child is growing, let's say they have a jaw issue. Like I always explain it to my patients like this, that let's say your teeth are too far out. There can be three reasons for this. One, that your upper teeth are purely out. Second, that your lower is actually behind, making your upper appear to be out.
Yes.
Third, a combination of these. So, depending on this, if the jaw is actually behind or ahead on your face by your facial balance, and I mean bone related, that your teeth may be in whatever fashion, aligned, not aligned, arranged on to your jawbone. If this portion is right behind, or this portion is too ahead, or the lower is too ahead, we actually utilize the growth of the child and redirect the growth,
Yes.
changing the bone pattern of the child.
Got it.
This is phase 1
one.
orthodontics, where we do early treatment. We fix the issue by utilizing the growth of the child.
So there are myofunctional appliances for that.
Yes.
Only is phase 1 orthodontics only myofunctional appliances, or is phase 1 orthodontics with braces also?
Not necessarily. It can be with braces also. You just have to target the growth of the child.
Okay.
So if we've crossed the growth spurt of the child, then we know that the predictability of a growth modulation appliance is poor.
Okay.
But if we are in the growth period, like for kids, girls complete their growth by the age of 11 to 12, whereas boys keep growing till 13, 14. Their final growth spurt is then. There are a lot of parameters that we can check to evaluate when you are completing growth. But if you are in that growth spurt period, it works the best.
So phase 1 orthodontics for a layman is basically that in order to avoid full-fledged treatment when you're a teenager, if they can just break down the treatment so that after when you've reached teenage years, you don't need so much treatment.
No, that's not what phase 1 treatment is. Phase 1 treatment means when your jaws are not aligned to that manner, that if we let them be, no matter what we do to your teeth, your discrepancy will still remain high. And at that point, because your growth is complete, you turn into a surgical category.
Got it.
So,
yes.
to fix that issue, fix the issue of growth, like there are a lot of class 3 patients where the lower jaw is actually ahead in this manner.
Yes.
If you're a child, we can correct that out. If you're 17, 18 and you come to us like this,
then
we don't
there's
have an
surgical.
option except
Yes,
surgery.
Yes. So it's over treatment like later, but choices of treatment will be lesser.
Correct.
When you've reached a certain age.
Correct.
And when you're younger, the choice of treatment will vary and can be corrected at that
Yes,
point of time
yes.
using the growth spurt of the
Which
child.
is why we say your first orthodontic checkup should be at 6.
Yes.
It should not
yes.
be any later than 6.
Yes, that is like a very interesting thing because people generally say, अरे अभी तो जब
बहुत
वो
छोटा है,
सारे
milk
permanent
teeth
teeth आ
गिर जाएंगे, तब
तब
दिखाएंगे.
yeah.
That is
so that
what's
needs
important.
to change. Yeah,
Yes.
that needs to change. There should be a lot of there should be awareness about this. So yeah, orthodontic checkup should be done at the age of 6, which is something that one can take back from this podcast.
The American Association of Orthodontists suggests that your first checkup is at 6 years of age.
Okay.
Orthodontic checkup.
Orthodontic checkup, yes.
Pediatric checkup earlier.
Earlier, yes,
But
yes, 6 months,
the
yes.
orthodontic checkup at 6.
Yes. And what is Invisalign first? How does it how is it different from phase 1 ortho?